welcome back to another day, another vlog. Great to have you all back. Well, coming from the podcast, coming from Facebook, wherever you're coming from, great to have you stop by. I do appreciate your ongoing support. To everyone that is a fan of the channel and subscribe, that is always fun to get new subscriptions and new people. And we're in a steady period of growth, I guess. It's normally get about 10 a month. Pretty excited about that. Hopefully 2021's goal of 1,000 subscribers is achievable. So I think we'll get there. It heaps on the channel to help out in that regard. So very, very cool. Rightio, we obviously if you're not a subscriber as yet, and you're just stopping by for the first time, basically Fridays or on the weekends, I try to get out one of the photo videos, which is probably mostly what the channel's about. The other part is tech and reviews and stuff like that. Friday we had the first day one, I guess, day one of like our trip. We did a south coast of Western Australia. It's one of the most beautiful spots on the planet. Talking pure white sand beaches, crystal clear blue, green water, animals, mountains, rocky outcrops, just insane places to go and see. And if you ever do come to Australia or you live in WA, it's definitely a must to get down there and go check it out. So hope you'll join me on that big adventure. I've got about 16 days worth of that was day one. That was sort of Margaret River region, which is world famous for its food and wineries. Some nice little spots around, some beautiful beaches just around there, and that's only about 3 hours drive from Perth. We then head down to the next spot, which is, I think we go to Dunsborough? Dunsborough? Or somewhere around there. So with a few spots, we're going to go to Albany and we go to Esperance. Esperance is an amazing place, home of Lucky Bay, which is in just the most beautiful beach in the world. Lots of sharks too in Esperance, so I'll give you a hot tip. But some amazing stuff coming up. Day one went up, so I hope you get to enjoy that and get to see the whole series and go through it. Day two will be coming up. I'll do them every Friday. If I get way ahead, some are only short, quick days. Some are long. I've got a heap of photos and a heap of footage, so they'll take longer. So I'm going to try and, worst case, I'll do one every week. I'll probably do that at the moment because this week I fly back. It's first trip home to Queensland. I've got some stuff to do on our other house that we got to sell before we buy a new one. So I'm sort of got a heap of sort of family stuff to get sorted this week coming up. So I'll probably just do one a week now, and then once I sort of get that stuff out of the way, I'll be able to catch up and get ahead. So I'm already pretty much close to finishing day two, which is not far off. Some really nice photos in that one. Some great spots. It's very cool. I do have the sheet here. 2 secs. So let me just go to my filing system. Castle Rock is the next one, which is just out of Dunsborough on the Cape Naturaliste Point. So that'll be day two. Some really nice. It's a beautiful spot. Again, it was like our first day sort of in the beach and where we could switch off and enjoy our sort of holiday, I guess. And just a gorgeous spot. Got the drone up, the Mini 2. Got a heap of nice Mini 2 photos, so good chance to see how that goes. And it does a great job. I can give you a hot tip. I love the Mini 2. There he is. He is doing a fantastic job. I'm so glad I upgraded from the Mini to the Mini 2. If you're looking at buying one, wholeheartedly, I can definitely tell you to get the Mini 2. The footage is amazing. The quality in the high winds, it's just ridiculous. It is definitely batting above its current pay grade. So definitely worth checking that out. So yeah, there we are with the videos. Go check out day one. Day two will be up this Friday. It'll be another premiere, so you can come along and ask me any questions or anything like that. So I'll put that up on Friday. And other than that, we'll just keep going. Now, we do have a bit of tech news over the weekend. There was a fair bit happening, so I'll try and get through it as quick as I can for you. We'll go to the big ones first. That'll get you into it. Alpha Motor, would have seen on the thumbnail, looks a little bit like a Hilux. It's an electric ute. It's another option. Now, obviously, Rivian I've talked about a fair bit. They're due out end of this year, start of next year. They've had a few delays, but they're sort of getting there. Now their price range is about 67,000 starting price for a Rivian. That's US dollars. So you imagine what it's going to be by the time it gets to Australia. We're talking 100 to 150 grand. So it's a little bit tricky. It's definitely going to be an amazing car. I've no doubt about that. But the price range is up there. Now this Alpha is obviously not the same level as the Rivian quality-wise, but it's a little ute. Looks great. Does all the electric things. You get it in a 75 kilowatt or an 85 kilowatt version. It'll do 250 to 275 miles range, so not too bad. That's probably around the about the 400k mark, which is realistically that's what most of my cars will do in a week's on a tank's petrol in the city. Be about 400k's. So if anything can hit that around that 400k mark, well then you're not going to be unhappy about its range. Yeah, its long range stuff is going to be tricky, but that's something in Australia that we really one of our biggest issues is there's nowhere to charge stuff up. So that's something the government needs to get done. And I did hear the other day that the WA government is dumping a heap of money into putting in charges everywhere. So that was really good news. So very, very positive in that regards. Now the Alpha Wolf, it's called, electric ute, two-door, I said Hilux-y sort of shape. Looks like the old school sort of Hilux. Pretty cool. Dual motor. It's not the super fastest. As I said, it's not a Tesla. It's not a Rivian with all the crazy awesome things, but it's definitely not that price. It'll do 0 to 60 in 6.2 seconds. It'll tow 1,360 kilos, so that's not too bad. It's not going to tow a big boat or anything like that. It's generally just a round the town sort of, not a dado ute, but a little bit bigger. It's basically just a nice little run around ute to do general stuff. So I think it's pretty good. Four-wheel drive or front-wheel drive. Front-wheel drive will be a single motor. It does have a rapid charger with it. Now the beauty is it's only starting at 36,000 for that 75 watt version, and I'd say for the four-wheel drive version with the 85 watt, it's going to go up to 46,000 US. So that's roughly around the 60 grand mark. So that's going to put it in, I guess, Ranger wild track territory, 70, 80 grand. I think that's sort of pretty feasible. And it's going to get a few more sales. It's going to get those people that can't afford a Tesla or the Rivian at 100,000+, which is just ridiculous. And that's where it's going to be really tough in Australia to push electric because of the prices of them. And no one's going to just want to have to buy a piece of crap Hyundai one, which they've got, which is terrible and only does 200 kilometers, and you got to charge it, which is and it's $60,000. You'd have to be absolutely insane to buy that. I see no validation whatsoever unless you're a full Greenpeace and really do not want to hurt the environment. But then you realise all that steel that comes out of the car comes out of this hole over here, which completely destroys the environment. So remember that bit too when you're worried about the environment, that your steel and all that stuff. Unfortunately, what mining companies do to the environment is nowhere near being nice to it. It totally destroys it. So be aware of that. So look, 36 grand, 36 to 46,000 US. So that's about the 60 to 70 mark. That's the mark it has to be if we're going to get electric cars in Australia. And on a wholesale level. Sure, the richer people are going to be able to buy the Teslas and the nice Rivians, but the normal folk, us blue-collar people, no one's going to be buying them at 100 grand just so they've got an electric car. It's either that or the Australian government's going to have to put massive tariffs on it to get them down, to drop them from 100 down to 60, and that's a lot of money they're going to lose, so I can't see that happening. So it's going to be tricky. This is a good little eye-opener and a nice option, so pretty cool. So go check it out, Alpha. They do have a couple of little cars as well, so that's definitely worth checking out. Now, new phone, a little bit different than normal. It's a top of the range, flash, super amazingly beautiful phone. Oppo X3 Find Pro. Super smooth camera bump on the back. They spent a lot of time on that one-piece glass. Just ridiculously, as I said, looks amazing. Obviously, it's Android. It's not an Apple. So if you're an Apple like myself, it's pretty much no good to us, so it's not even worth worrying about. But it does have some amazing stuff. Now, they're saying it's the first billion color display in a phone display. So what that means is basically it's 10-bit color. So most phones are normally 8-bit. There are a couple of other phones out there that do run the 10-bit color, but this one's got a true 10-bit color display, and that carries through all the way from the photos to the images to everything on it. So it's definitely built. So that's why they're saying that. So look, the screen's amazing. It's 120 hertz. It's got the 888 Snapdragon. It is flagship, top of the level sort of a phone. Very cool. Twin 50 megapixel sensors and like top of the range Sony 50 megapixel sensors. So normally you have one good sensor in your main camera, and then the other ones will sort of drop down. Well, they've put two flash as sensors in the cameras, and then the third camera is get this, it's a microscope camera, microscope lens. Now what it is, it's a 3 megapixel. It's got a ring light around it, so obviously microscope, get down. MKBH did a video on it, and that's where I watched, and go check it out. It's actually, the images out of the microscope are pretty darn cool. From putting it on his shirt, and you can clearly see the threads, to keys, to all sorts of pretty cool stuff. So yes, it's a bit gimmicky, but it's a gimmick that actually works and works well. And look, it's a bit of fun, and I don't know if it's going to sell the phones more than what it wouldn't without it, but pretty darn cool, and it's done really, really well. So very cool. Go check it out. NFTs. If you haven't heard of NFTs, I hadn't heard of an NFT until last week. And late last week, last week I sort of heard bits and pieces about them. Basically, NFTs is basically just, I guess, like a JPEG. A JPEG, it's a digital image that's locked. Probably better idea is cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is just zeros and ones locked onto a hard drive. If you've got Bitcoins, they're on a hard drive. You lose the hard drive, you lose all your money. Well, NFTs are the same thing. Basically, this new art form where people are putting art or whatever they want to, and they're selling this art, and it's basically only exists on that stick or that USB stick or hard drive or whatever it's stored on. That whoever buys it gets that piece of art. It's on there. It's for them. They can get a password to put it in or keep it. If they lose it, well, that's the end of that. Well, someone paid $69 million for a piece of NFT artwork. So that was a digital piece of artwork from a famous artist called Beeple. He had his first, I think it was 1,400 day of artwork. He did a piece of art every day and then stitched them all together into one, basically tapestry type digital art, and sold it for 69 million US dollars. So that's nearly 100 million Australian dollars for basically a file on a USB stick of all his pictures, and he just stitched them together. Insane. Adding to that ridiculousness, the guy who invented Twitter basically screenshotted his first tweet, the first tweet on Twitter, and is selling it for $1 million US as an NFT. So one person can only have it. It's one of one, but it's, yeah. I'm sorry, but I just don't understand that. Or maybe I think I'm now in that category of I'm too old to understand that stuff. But I understand what they're doing and why, and I can see it. I understand cryptocurrency. It doesn't really exist. No money really exists anymore. There's no physical money. But this is just 69 million, nearly $100 million for a JPEG file, basically, or a TIFF file, whatever file you want. It's not worth $100 million unless it's got the Powerball numbers in it. That's the one I want. But anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting, and world is getting stranger. Holy bundi. Unilever make all sorts of creams, moisturizers, shampoos. Massive company, one of the biggest on the planet. Product-wise, there's probably a guarantee there's something in your shelf in your kitchen or your bathroom that is owned by Unilever, or they make it. They're removing the word normal from all their products, because apparently everyone's special. and there's no such thing as normal. Things like, I guess, normal shampoo, which I generally buy. I don't buy the bleach one or the whatever. I normally just go buy the normal shampoo because I consider myself normal. Apparently, you're not allowed to call anything normal anymore. That's offensive. So, wow. PC police in full force in 2021. Holy bundy. It's a bit scary when a big company like that is crapping themselves and have to remove something that has been around for thousands of years. And I guess this is the new normal. Wow. Canon, some news over from Canon. Some patents have been found for a new 200mm f2 L series RF lens. So that's pretty exciting. We should see that later in the year. So that patent's out. There's also some other big white lenses. They're the big sports lenses, normally from about 200 to 300, 400, 500. There's a 300mm 2.8, a 400mm 2.8, a 500mm f4, and a 600mm f4, and an 800 f5.6. Now we've seen earlier, in the second half of last year, they brought out that 600 and 800 RF, and they're like I guess compared to a Sigma, a contemporary range, so a cheaper version, and they did pretty well. They were like F20, F11, or I think they were both F11s, so pretty high up, and that was sort of the base. But they actually, on those R5s and 6s, they did really well. I'm not sure how they'll go on an RP. It doesn't really have that same ISO qualities and the same sensor level as the big boys, but these guys are going to go really well. I'm sure there's a heap of sports photographers and wildlife photographers that have bought R5s and 6 waiting for these lenses to come out. So we did talk about it, I think, last week. Canon Rumors has said second half of the year there's going to be a massive big Canon event, and they're going to unleash a heap of lenses all in one hit, as well as a big camera. We're all thinking that it's going to be the R1 camera, which sounds about fair, and I guess a heap of the White Series Pro lenses to come out with the Pro level camera. That makes a lot of sense as a big Canon event. So probably after the Olympics, when they've done their final testing, it'll get tested there if the Olympics go ahead. So I guess that's probably a good. It all seems to be lining up towards those big Pro lenses, the big Pro camera after the final test of the Olympics. Perfect timing. So big year for Canon coming up. So look forward to that one. And then a couple more things. Apple side of things, the Apple Mini is a flop. And I think, look, the Apple Mini, the 12 Mini, brilliant idea. And honestly, I can say honestly, I would have bought one if it had better cameras and the HDR video in it. It only has the 2 lenses on it. I think it's a standard and a wide. It doesn't have the ultra wide. Yeah, I think that's it. The standard and the wide, or the standard and the telephoto doesn't have the ultra wide. It doesn't have the HDR video that the i12 Pro had. I think what they should have done, if Apple wanted to, that small form factor was a brilliant idea. You could have done the base one, but then they had to do a Mini Pro. If they bring out a Mini Pro this year, it could save it, because no one's going to buy a smaller phone for only a couple $100 less when you can get the Pro with all those extra features in it, and it's not that much bigger. And I think that's where it really sort of fell over. So, but it has not sold, but they have sold more 12s than any other phone for a long time. So I think 75 million since they released it. So they've done pretty well. They pretty much covered their bases, but they've told a lot of their suppliers to shut down the Mini different bits and pieces. So the Mini not going really well, unfortunately too, because I think form factor wise, having something small and easy to chuck in your pocket would be brilliant. But I don't think it's battery that really concerns me, because I charge them every day anyway, and you've got power banks everywhere with you anyway, so that really doesn't affect it. It's more so the lenses and the video on it. That was the reason why I didn't get it, and I think that's the reason why a lot of people didn't get it, because it was only a couple $100 more. So not good. Now Starship. If you hadn't heard about the Starship or SpaceX, their Starship blew up as a result. Now that crap took off, landed. That was what the whole test was about. That was fantastic. But what happened is, when it come down, and then they dropped it down, They had was it a hydrogen engine fuel issue. This is the technical terms here for you. Hydrogen engine fuel issue, and what it did, it come down too fast, and with all that extra grunt, it crushed the landing gear legs, and the skirt, and then obviously that then caused a catastrophic failure in other systems as well, extra heat or whatever, blah blah blah, and then it blew up. So that was basically what happened. So result of this engine, whatever it is, and they've got to just adjust it, Mr. Musk says. And yeah, look, he came out and said, look, we stuffed up, took full responsibility for it. How rare is that too? Look, he's doing amazing things. He's kicking goals left, right, and centre. Richest man on the planet, all that crazy stuff. For someone of that much grunt and power to come out and say, look, I'm human, I fucked up. I apologise to my shareholders and all the people supporting us. We know exactly why. It's not a big deal. We know what we've got to do to fix it. It's all good. Don't stress. We've got this covered. Wow, that's pretty cool. It's pretty assuring for anyone that's ever thinking about going to Mars on one of these spaceships, that he's the smartest bloke on the planet doing just crazy stuff, and he's still willing to be a human and go, yeah, look, I stuffed up. That's pretty darn good. So good work to him, I think. And then just the last little one to leave you on, iPhone 13, Touch ID in the screen, they reckon, this year. That is the new hot rumour on that one. So I'm sure we're going to get more. That's not till September. But yeah, they're talking about it already this week, that it looks like it's coming this year back. Touch ID back, but in screen. Like there's a few Androids with it, so yeah, we'll see what happens. Rightio, I will see you all again tomorrow. Yeah, Tuesday. Hope you had a good weekend. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon. If you're going this way, that way, I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.